Okay, yeah, I did say I was going to do a video on all these games and just ended up only making a video on these two. And even though I played a shit ton of Elden Ring and absolutely nothing from Horizon, I have no idea what I would even say for Elden Ring that hasn't been said before. It'll just be something like, yeah, it's good. So I'm just gonna scrap it. I'm just gonna talk about one of my favorite dead game series that Capcom insists on keeping buried 1,000 feet under, Power Stone. Power Stone is a game made for the Sega Dreamcast back in 1999. This was a pioneer in the fighting game genre due to the fact that you could run around freely in a 3D environment, interact with the stage, use your surroundings to fight, and use a shit ton of items. Remember, this was back in 1999, this shit was impressive. This game was a huge hit and is still considered one of the greatest games to come out for the sadly short-lived Sega Dreamcast. And this was not an easy feat, considering that the Dreamcast had a bunch of amazing games, and very weird ones.
Smell that? That's freedom. Freedom.
So this little experimental game made high impressions with a lot of people, including myself. I still consider this one of my all-time favorite games, and it still holds up surprisingly well. It was so simple yet filled with rich, complex things that I don't even know where to start, so let's start with the gameplay.
Are you ready? Action!
Like any fighting game, the goal is to beat the shit out of your opponent, but what makes Power Stone different is that you also have to be aware of your surroundings all time. All the characters do different abilities or moves depending on what they leap off from. Either a pole, a wall, hell, you can leap off from absolutely nothing and just drop faster and squish your opponents. So this makes this game all about moving around, grabbing anything you can, throwing chairs, tables, jars, anything to hit your opponent. There is also a bunch of items like pipes, fans, and even crazy amount of guns like flamethrower, bazookas, and miniguns. So then, on top of all this punching, kicking, moving, gathering, and deciding which are the best items to pick up or leave, you also have the Power Stones. These are gems that will appear throughout the fight, and this is something you most definitely want to pick up because the first to grab 3 will transform into a super version of the character with a complete new set of movement and 2 massive abilities that do a lot of damage. The catch is, it's only for a limited time. It is complete chaos, and I fucking love it. It is a game that makes you do constant decisions. It feels refreshing and unique almost each time, and that's why the game, even with its basic combos, you get a level of depth that not many games achieve. And that's not even talking about all the characters. You have Falcon, you have Ayame, you have Galuda, you have Gunra, you have Jack, you have Rouge, whatever, you have Ryoma, you have Wantang, and 2 unlockable characters, Kraken and Valgus. I probably mispronounce a couple of them, but who cares? Like I mentioned, this was an experimental game that Capcom was trying out, something that was really common for Dreamcast games. So they absolutely did not need to go this hard on the characters. The gameplay was already fine, but no, they doubled down on this aspect as well. All of the 10 playable characters are unique in their playstyle, movements, powers, and personalities. All their super versions reflect their likings and backstories, which is a lot of detail for a game that was meant to test out a new type of gameplay. Hell, they made an anime of this game and it was whack. I remember owning a couple that I begged my parents for hours to get, and they just found Volume 1 and Volume 6, so I kinda had to fill in the gaps a bit, but that's a testament of how unique all these characters were that they could actually get an anime out of them. The first game was definitely a success, and even though they were trying to break the fighting game mold, it still had the basic premise of a 1v1, it had combo strings and a couple of more nuances and hidden strategies, making it more strategic and yet chaotic, like it was still trying to find his identity or whatever. But a year later, from the original release, they released Power Stone 2, and they figured out the formula just like that. This one was not an experiment anymore. They knew exactly what they wanted to do for this game. They upped the game to 4 players, made it free-for-all, made stages have traps and constant changes. If in the first one you had to watch your environment, in this one you have to do it twice as hard. Everything got expanded on this game. There are more characters, crazier dynamic stages, a shit ton of items, more unlockables, a new crafting system to create new and crazier items. To this day, I find new items. It's insane. They went into this one with all these crazy ideas and they nailed all of them. The free-for-all is a blast. The story mode with friends is a blast. The bosses were crazy. The music for this one is a banger. I have so much love and respect for this game and loads of good memories with it. It's just such a good time, man. The only thing that I would have liked a little bit more if the game had more static stages. There is a few, but it's a very small amount of static stages. But that's such a minor complaint to what is probably one of the funnest, most original, and I just have no words to describe how fun this game is. Just go play it. So you might be wondering, why are you making this video? What is the point of gushing over this game? Other than, oh, the game's amazing, you should play it. But the real reason why I'm making this video is because this game is still only playable at the Dreamcast. None of these 2 games have been ported or preserved in any modern way. Sure, you could emulate them, but this is more to get your Power Stone fix more than an actual solution, because these are terrific party games and are best enjoyed with friends in the same couch laughing and messing around. And the one time Capcom decided to actually port this game, the one time they ported a collection, they ported it to the PSP. The PSP, who thought that a multiplayer fighting game would be fun in a console designed mostly for solo play? There were rumors that Power Stone 3 was in the works until the Dreamcast stopped getting support from Sega. And after those rumors died, so did the franchise. We haven't heard much from Capcom about this series, about anything substantial at least. There is the odd appearance of Power Stone stuff in other Capcom games like Dead Rising 3 and Street Fighter 5 to give us this weird false hope that Capcom at least hasn't forgotten about the title. But for now, as of the writing of this video, and I hope this video ages poorly and they prove me wrong in the next Capcom Direct or whatever they're gonna do, there's a pretty strong fan base clamoring for its return for anything Power Stone related. Whatever it is, I know that me and a lot of people will be ecstatic to get anything at this point. So at this point, we can only hope that one of these days we will be able to collect those 3 stones once again and have the long-awaited return for a game that quite frankly deserves a lot more.